I don't know what that is.
I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. Bear with
Don't
me.
worry.
There's
What happened?
opening.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're live now. Sorry. I have so much stuff on my desk, as you can see behind me. Mm. Okay, so we are live. All right, that's muted and this is muted. Good. Okay, good. I'm going to start now. So here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Goldfish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. Today is Friday, July 26th, 2024. This is Goldfish Report number 1107, and it's our weekly Food for the Soul. So welcome to everyone who is joining us. This is Food for the Soul, and this is our weekly report to help guide, I would say, the viewers, listeners, through the tumultuous storm that we're in, and no one better to help us do that is our friend, psychic medium Mark Christopher Nelson, and his wife, I'm sorry,
Barbara.
Barbara. I don't know,
You only
Barbara.
met her a few
Why
dozen
was I
times.
thinking
Okay.
Beverly?
Because
You
that's
know
my
that?
mom's name,
Oh my
Beverly.
God, see?
You're
Okay, okay.
psychic.
Now listen, I have been, and that's what this report is
Funny.
about tonight, you see? Isn't
Right.
that, see, that happened for a reason. That was to illustrate how there's,
Mom is around me.
yeah,
Or
your mom's around you, but it's intuition that we were talking about that we wanted to talk about tonight, how we have to trust our intuition. And sometimes mistakes like that is really something more, it might
Right.
not be such a mistake.
Mhm.
So it might be that your mom is around. Oh my God, that's so funny. I mean, last week we had those balloons, which were
I
crazy.
know.
Oh.
And I will find them and bring them back so we can share them with our viewers. But just in the middle, now, none of us were using, I don't know if there is a function to do this in Zoom, but it didn't happen on my screen. It happened on your screen. And you said you didn't touch it, and I didn't
No,
touch it. So if there is a function that does this, it certainly didn't come from us, but it
no.
came from, a viewer. Perhaps I think it was divine, or it was from our spiritual
Right.
um,
Yeah.
loved ones who you were getting a message from a viewer, who had a viewer's friend who had crossed over, and that's when it happened. And that was pretty interesting. I mean, just when you were talking about victory, all of a sudden all these balloons came up. So it was just fascinating. And just like right now, how I admitted that I had stated I was thinking of another name, and then you said it was your mom's name, and I said, there you
Right.
go. It's we don't trust our intuition enough, and
No,
that's
we
what
don't.
gets us in trouble. And like more people would be psychic, we would tune into that collective consciousness.
Mhm.
Um Carl Jung called it archetypal knowledge, archetypal
Right.
information.
Right.
um what do you find is the biggest roadblock or stumbling block to this? Let me start with Barbara, because ladies first, if you don't mind.
Ladies first.
Why people don't believe in their intuition?
Why they don't follow it? Yeah, but maybe because they don't believe in it. I don't know. What is it?
Well, there's probably a lot of reasons. Like I have friends that they don't believe in any of the,
Mhm.
what Mark does, and they tend to take it from a religious aspect that he's more of a mind reader. That's what this one friend of mine said. Oh yeah, I know how Mark does it. He's a mind reader. He's reading my mind. And I go, I'm like, no, no, that's not what he does.
Right.
And so I think there's like a bit of disbelief, or they want to deny it. And so there's that part of it. But a lot of people, they just, as far as your intuition, I think they're afraid to believe in it. I think the unknown, and it's like you're getting messages. We're getting hit with messages all throughout the day, all day long, we're being bombarded. And but if you take a moment for quiet, you'll get the real messages. Like if you're sitting there just by yourself, just kind of focusing, you'll hear it. And I have. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful connection.
You know, you have such a soothing voice that your voice could be very helpful as like a guided meditation, because
Oh,
there's just too much going on. There's too much mass media. There's too much um thoughts of, anticipating what you have to do next around the house or for work or for the kids or for your family or whatever. It's like your mind never gets a break to have real peace. And I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm just getting like very relaxed, and I'm getting like drawn into your voice, and I'm getting, like I'm like,
I do
oh
that to
yeah.
Mark all the
But
time.
Barbara, I usually start off after a moment or
Ex-
so.
Except I'm like, except I say, are you listening to me?
And I go, oh yeah. And then I snap my head
No,
back.
it's not that. No, it's not that. It's really very positive. It's because we need help. I mean, we can't
Right.
not, many people have trouble with the idea of meditation. They have trouble with the idea of being alone and sitting without any, I mean, believe it or not, without any music, without any phone, or without any television. They just can't
Right.
stand the thought of sitting alone. And that's not good, because we're just being
Yeah.
bombarded with all these frequencies, and we're not really. And I was just saying that I thought your voice was very helpful. Maybe you
So,
should do, I think you should do and this is coming from my intuition, and I just feel like I need to tell you.
oh, okay.
I need to tell you that you should do a video on guided meditation, because you have a soothing voice, and it can
Well,
help people kind of get into a zone where they need to kind of push the rest of the world out
Yeah.
and just kind of focus on
And
the here and now, being in the moment.
I think that's why, people have those bowls, they go around the rim and it makes a certain frequency and it relaxes you. I mean, stuff like that actually is very helpful. Or soft meditation music at a certain vibration. Um, I mean, you know about the what is it, the 440 megahertz. We're in a world now that the vibration is very fast and coming at you too, and it's not the nature vibration, and it's
Yeah.
done on purpose.
Well, the
After World War II,
right,
it
the
was
440. Yeah. So concert pitch is 440, but it wasn't always. It was 432. And that was the that was the I would say cymatic represent so all cymatics, like, so all frequencies have a
right.
cymatic, have a geometric pattern that they produce. Every
Mhm.
frequency has a geometric
Right.
pattern. Like God said, in the beginning there was the word, and the word was,
Mhm.
God. And so the word, it's the frequency that creates the form. It's the vibration that creates a geometric structure. And so at 440, it is it's disfigured. It's not, it disturbs the geometry of the shape. And when you go to 432, it corrects itself and creates that perfect geometrical shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was done, and the whole thing, putting us on a 12-month instead of a 13 months of 28 days. It's all meant to disrupt our circadian rhythms and disrupt us, and just get us out of our well-being, throw us off of our well-being. I'm just going to check in with our live stream and see if we have any. Oh, hi, good evening. Yeah, we have a viewer here. And as we're talking about, so it's Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for joining us. If you have a question for Mark, please feel free to put it in the chat as we do as we move along. So, yeah, that's one way to do it. I mean, really, you need to have, I always found that I needed to have guided meditation, because for me, particularly, I am so distracted with my own thoughts. Really.
Well, one of the things that I tell people a lot is that to meditate, we all have busy lives. You've got, if you were to close off the show, you'd probably say, okay, I've got to take care of these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things.
Right.
But the best way to not think about everything is to think about one thing. I'm not the first person to say that. So Barbara's voice, I can be calm and listen. I'm not just trying to anticipate her ending. I'm trying to listen and to be conscious.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I'll focus on a candle because it's one thing as opposed to the idea that I got to get up tomorrow and do this, this. Tonight I have to do this. Focus on one thing. And also too, I would say for people who were listening, I don't have a candle. I don't have a beautiful bowl. Pay attention to your breathing, and that can actually get you into a more relaxed state.
Mark, I think most of us are suffering under some sort of impairments. Sorry, we really need a little more help. And I appreciate what you're saying because you're right. Those are the goals, but we can't get there on our own. That's the problem. I think some people can, but a lot of people cannot. And we really,
Well,
it's really an impairment. And that's why I really think that we need to we need to have something to focus on because we all have ADHD. I don't know. I guess that's the problem, right?
well, between diet, work, got to be here, got to be there. You know what I tell people is like, no one starts out running a marathon. You just don't, got up, tie your
Right.
shoes,
You gotta
and
work your way.
you got to work your way up. If you
Yeah.
have trouble keeping your mind clear for an hour, it's like, which I don't think is necessary, but if you could keep your mind clear for 15 seconds, just kind of relax, focus on one thing for 15 seconds. Success. All right. You're comfortable in that little time zone. Now, can you do it for 30? Can you do it for a minute? And so I like to tell people about my 7-minute vacation. You don't need an hour and a half to meditate. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to do anything. It really is about being like you, like me, Barb. We're all busy people with things to do. So the idea is that if you can find a way to clear your mind for 1 second, 1 minute, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you can get to 7 minutes at where you're being open and you're creating a channel or a way for God to speak or reach out to you, your loved ones, you're going to find that you receive answers. So I would say be very, take those steps. And also people love to say, I don't have the time to meditate. Well, it's not like you're not adding something to your list of to-dos. You're giving yourself a break from the to-dos.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good way to put it because we have to make time for it. It's not it's about taking time out to smell the roses, so to speak. I mean, right?
I would say it goes one step further. I love that. You're right. But I would also say sometimes we all have an unidentified anxiety where, and I've told Barbara this, something is bothering me. I need to step out of everything I'm doing just if only for a few minutes to be able to see what is it that is annoying me on my mind, that I leave something out. We all have that, what did I forget to do moment. Well, if you can step back for a moment and think about it and create some clarity, you can find out what that is. And it's a great way to alleviate anxiety, fear, concern. When one thing we were talking about earlier is like, what is the point of your intuition? Why were we given this? And I love Barbara's answer. I would add to it that um, listening to your intuition may not be logical. And certainly the world we live in, if you're not logical, you must be a space case or you're a weirdo, you're a nut job, all of these negative connotations. So I would say that um, what you hear might throw you off from making what others would consider to be a logical decision.
Yeah.
And
You know,
so,
I think I
okay.
talked about this in the last report. There was one time, remember when I was in college, I had been working at a tobacco clinic doing research
Mhm.
and trying to help people, certain population, quit smoking. So I was pretty familiar with the literature that they had, and and I mean when I was doing research, I mean we were doing med studies, we were doing
Mhm.
real studies, and
Mhm.
so I just remember being in college and walking, all of a sudden, it's like someone in spirit grabbed me and just said, you need to go. I mean, whoever this was on the other side was hysterical. I mean, what a personality, because they got my attention and I was very compelled to go to a certain girl, walk up to her and tell her that someone, I did. I just said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but there's someone on the other side who is compelling me to give you a message. And that is, they want you to quit smoking. And she just looked, her eyes were like this.
Oh
And I
my
said, you
God.
understand this message? She said, yes. And she knew who
Oh,
it was.
Wow.
And I was
Good.
just like, yeah. And, it's like, that was not that doesn't happen every day for me. For you, it
No.
does. For you, it
no,
does. But for me,
yeah. I actually not that situation, but similar. We were in a meeting, remember, with Mama Red,
Yes.
and I was sitting next to this young Black woman, and we were just sitting next to each other during the meeting. I kept looking at her, and she kept looking at me. And finally, we just both we had a break, and we both went up to each other, and it's like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And she goes, "I was going to ask you the same thing." And it's like
that's
we
funny.
had this connection, and I go, you know what? We might have known each other from another time or something, because she felt so familiar to me. Like
Oh, yeah.
we just knew each other. I don't know if she was my sister
Yeah.
or friend, probably a good friend. That's what she felt like, a good friend. And so
Yeah.
anyway, we both trusted our feeling about it, and confronted each other, because it was like we just kept looking at each other like, do I know you? And I
Yeah.
probably did. I
Uh,
probably knew her.
how could you confirm that though? But because I agree with you, I met
I
someone
don't
also
know.
that I actually was like, I was so thrilled to just meet, and I don't really know why. It's like I don't know why I was so thrilled to meet
Right.
her, but I was. I was like, and I
That's
felt a little bit.
great.
Oh, I felt to her it might have been a little overly thrilled, just because I wasn't expecting to feel that either. It was like I must have known her from a past life or something. I don't know, but it
Well,
was
one thing,
very
if you're
interesting.
doing this, sometimes it's okay not to know why.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
You don't have to know why you have to
right,
just give the message and
right.
let them complete
And
it, connect the
she
dots.
right.
confirmed it. Yeah.
And if
She
Yeah,
there's a feeling of response where it's like, yeah, you hit it on the head, then you know what? Trust the universe to work with you to kind of help unfold what, may have propelled you towards this. In this case, it may have been simply this girl may have been, hemming and hawing, making excuses, and then to have someone who she doesn't know come forward with a message that you don't know, but it may have been
yeah,
her mother, her grandfather,
right,
an uncle who died from smoking. Someone is
sure,
coming through. And so you don't have to know, and
right,
so a girl for having done that,
Right.
yeah,
And it's okay if it's a total stranger,
yeah,
because it's like that energy comes over you, and you have to say something. And it's like you're putting yourself out there, but
right,
you know what? What do you got to lose?
right.
It's, and you helped her, so
Thanks. So Heidi wants to know if we figured out what happened with the balloons last week, and we really haven't. To be honest with
so
you.
I can just say that it's like,
I think it was spirit.
excuse me,
I think it was
it
spirit.
had to be spirit,
Yeah.
people in spirit. They're able to have
Manipulate.
great facility with
Yeah.
electrical devices.
Mhm,
Yeah.
And certainly this was outside, this was above my pay grade.
mhm,
I wasn't comfortable or even, I mean, I know how to sign into Zoom and I
mhm,
know how to leave.
mm.
I don't have Zoom as a service. I use other people's service.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it was quite interesting, and we'll see what happens. This stuff would happen with Scott too, when I used to do the Food for the Soul with Scott Werner. And it would happen, we would have strange things happen too, or unusual, I would say. It wasn't strange, just strange and unusual is what I meant.
Right.
But
Right.
we have a lot of things coming up. We have some, I mean, before we started to go live tonight, you were talking about how it, with regard to times that we're entering into right now,
mhm. Mhm.
They are uncertain.
Yeah.
There's a lot of political theater going on. There's changing of the guards that don't want to be, they don't want to go, they don't want to change, they don't want to lose what they had, and it's over. It's done. But there's a I would actually argue that it's infighting of the same people. So it's like a division of those families that are fighting each other for
Right.
control of the planet, honestly. Why they were left in control? Well, you have to ask God why, he cast Lucifer and all the fallen angels down here. But that's another conversation.
Right.
Well,
And,
one thing,
it's an interesting conversation. I wouldn't mind having it. But right now, we're talking about, what do you see, Mark? Has there been any updates or revisions or anything that you see in terms of your predictions for, do you have any clearer time frame, or is there something that, like, let's say, let me give you a topic, maybe that will help. What about the financial crisis? When are you seeing that finally hit?
I think that's coming early autumn, October,
Mm.
maybe late September. Before I go too much further though, I want to ask people that, I mean, I'm going to jump
Mm.
off from where you were discussing, the things that we don't know that are coming up. If you're just choosing, I'm going to go to this public gathering, or I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to go to a library, or I'm going to be in a crowd, and for some reason, something is making you feel uncomfortable, um, not at ease, concerned, and it just keeps going, okay, why am I feeling uncertain? And then, I mean, someone in Barbara's family was saying, "Oh, you're just being a fear monger." Well,
Or you're afraid.
you're being unnecessarily afraid. Well, sometimes, fear is a useful thing that keeps people
Alive.
alive.
Yeah.
It's good to be afraid sometimes
Yeah.
when you're facing a circumstance that could be
Mhm.
beyond your ability to safely react and extricate yourself from a location. It's not being gutless, it's not being foolish, it's not being, brainlessly fearful. There are times where, I mean, I'm reading this great book by this. The book is called Become Bulletproof, and the author is a woman, Secret Service agent, and she said there's three kinds of things that happen basically when you're afraid. There's the flight, there's fight, and then there's freeze. And so most of us tend to have one version of that within us. Again, a great book. I'm just getting started. It's a fascinating read. But some of us, and so the idea that if you know you're a fighter, I mean, and you may not know this until you are dealing with a real threat to your existence. And maybe your gut level reaction is fight. Well, that if you're fighting against what may be insurmountable odds,
Right.
fighting may not be smart. If your natural inclination is to take flight, that may put you in a more difficult circumstance where
Mhm.
you have to understand my first instinct is to run, to get away because I want to be safe. That may not be the best move. You may actually be safer if you take a moment to say, okay, I can face this fear. It's not nearly as great as I think it is. And then the people who freeze, they tend to be stuck. They have conflicting um, they may see it as something they can't control, and they may not know what to do. And so there are people who definitely have a tendency that way. So try to get to know yourself better and understand that just because you automatically react a certain way may not keep you alive or safe or protected. Now, back to your other question. Do I think things, my sense is that I feel like that we're going to see financial markets start to take some very hard tumbles and falls later in the year. Unfortunately, there is something of a history of the autumn being a time for some financial
Right.
problems, the great crash of 29, for example. Um, but what I would say is that I feel like that we're going to see some seismic shifts where it's like, okay, this isn't good. I feel like that the BRICS nations are going to not be our friends. They're going to do what's best for them, and they may cause more problems. For some reason, servers that we rely on for our banking, our healthcare, and everything else, the
Mhm.
servers are based in
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Why is that? Why do we have CrowdStrike, which ran all of these servers? Um, they were going through a security patch, and yet because it was in Ukraine, why are we depending on that in Ukraine? Is Ukraine a stable environment for the servers that we depend on for our financial services, our medical care? That strikes me as a problem waiting to happen at a much greater sense. I also feel like that was a test that will be multiplied and become more problematic again a little bit later in the year. So please, everyone, if you feel like that, uh, if you're feeling uncertain, um, don't freeze, don't fight, think. And then also too, I would say, get some cash out because your ability to just put a card in a bank to buy, you're not going to be able to use your card to buy gas, food. Barbara and I went through the 94 earthquake where all of the credit systems went down. We were reduced to buying whatever
But
we
we had
could.
cash.
We had
Yeah.
some cash. Cash will take precedent if a grocery store can't pay can't accept your payment, are you going to steal from them? Are they going to stand by and let you loot the store? These are all terrible potential outcomes.
Well, if you're a
So
Democrat, they will. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, I
If
tend to
you're
think,
illegal coming across the southern border, anything's free for you.
yeah, I that appears to be the case.
Here's free.
Okay. And no, it doesn't. It is the case. And I don't understand that. Hopefully, people in America will question that. So I think that there's definitely the CrowdStrike disaster data breach was is only going to come back sooner bigger. And Russia, if we have any conflict with Russia, and I think that we are, being that the Ukrainians are using our weapons against Russian people.
Mm.
Maybe they take it out on the servers based in Ukraine. I'm not a military expert, but if I wanted to inflict damage on an opponent, I would lock up all of their money. I would put them, the panic and the uncertainty of it will then
Mm.
cause other things to unfold. So be prepared for that. I also think too that once we have financial problems, people who are good law-abiding, citizens, when they see their children saying, "I'm hungry," when your spouse says, "I need my medicine," or I'm not sure I'm going to be okay, that's when good law-abiding people do things that to take what they need. And so I would encourage everyone to. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe that in the power of being prepared. Prayer and prepared are kind of not that different in some ways. But anyway, so look at that and don't wait for disaster to come to you before you
Mhm.
think about doing something. Okay?
Well, yeah. And to follow your intuition, I think too, is really what you were saying when before we started was to encourage people to follow their intuition in those emergency situations sometimes, or if you find yourself stuck, because your intuition will guide you to what you need to do. And I mean, it's absolutely true. I don't think there's one person I know who, you know, can say that they ignored their intuition and they had a better outcome. I doubt it, but it's there for a reason. We do have access. It might not always be as directly as we'd like it, but we do have access um to help. I mean, we talked about this on our first report. We have guardian angels. We all do.
And so what you
Yeah.
do too is like learn, please, as a practice after we're done, thank you again for everyone listening with us tonight. But think about how, when you receive an idea, a message where you're not sure where it comes from, it's okay if you don't know where it comes from. But if it makes you feel a certain way and it seems relevant to a question or fear or concern you have, pay attention to it. write it down, and then, sometimes we get messages that are meant to remove us from harm's way.
Okay, we have true, very, very true. Uh, it's important to listen to intuition. I can tell you there's definitely one time I didn't listen to my intuition in particular. And I definitely regretted, I guess I could say I regretted most of it, not necessarily all of it. That might be that might be a too obvious one to but anyway, look, we have a listener who would like to see if there's a message for her. You ready to do readings, Mark?
Sure.
Okay, great. So here we have Grace Stambo, who is wondering if there's anyone on the other side that may have a message for her, for Grace.
Grace, I feel like I'm looking across, feels like that there's a contemporary, not a, um, or there's two people. One, I feel like that there's a grandparent, Grace, grandparent. I feel like that someone that would serve you food when you were a kid. I see someone lifting a plate from in front of you as a child. I think that's a beautiful thing. I feel like that this relative, it feels like grandmother. It feels like she's above you. I feel like too that for some reason, it's like I'm seeing her shaking her hands, so she may have had a little issue with fingers, nerves in her hands that and I don't think it's just the food being hot. So, and then I get another guy. I feel like I mean, so grandmom steps up, says hello, and she's telling me, she's looking around your room and saying, it's like, all right, she's teasing you a little bit, but she's saying, you should pick up some of the clothes on the floor. I don't know if that matters or if there's something around you. I feel like she's looking around going, just pick up a few things. She feels like a bit of a neatnik. Also, to this grandmom feels like someone that would do these things for you, but she's looking around. It's like, you can take care of these things a little bit better. If that makes no sense, I feel like she's looking around and going, pick it up. What are you doing here? And then I get this other relative. It feels like he's a young guy, a younger man, 30s, 40s. He's got a mustache, a very full mustache. He's got a big smile. Feels like he's saying, I know you miss me. I know you miss me. Feels like a Latin guy, feels like there's either Hispanic, Latin about him, Italian, but I get this mustache and he's like leaning in and he feels like kind of a playful, funny guy. Um, not big, but I love this big broad face, tight t-shirt, full mustache. I hope this matters to Grace. That's what I'm seeing for her. Both of them step up for different reasons. The guy with the mustache is also giving her this, you're doing okay, you're doing really good. Keep going. So grandma may be a little finicky about how the things look around the house. The other guy's going, you're doing really well. Keep going. Oh, and I think he may have had a connection to a sister of yours as well. So if it doesn't make sense, talk to your sister about a guy, great cheeks, good mustache, big smile.
That's pretty wild. I thought that was very nice. Let's just see. Let's check in with Grace and see if she has any comments on that. Anything? Can you confirm that, Grace? Does that sound like people that you know? It sounds like someone might know. What about while we're waiting for Grace, thank you for that. We have Heidi who's here, been waiting, and she wants to know if there's anyone on the other side that may have a message for her. Heidi.
Um, the first thing I see for Heidi is a little kind of a dog that weighs maybe 30 pounds, like a little terrier mutt mix. I don't know if she had a small tan, light brown, white, kind of a mixed looking dog. Little dog. Heidi shows up for Heidi. Kind of, I believe our dogs are spirit. I mean, are there to help us with things.
Mhm.
And so I love that about them. I'm seeing smoke in front of the camera.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
just burning some sage.
Okay, we had balloons before. Are we getting smoke?
No, I was actually burning the sage to try to clear the
Okay,
energy
all
here.
right. Okay, so I feel like there's that. The other thing too is that um I feel like that there's a man that shows up and he puts a cane on the table, like a wooden cane, black tip. It feels like he says, I don't need this anymore. If there was like a older male in her life, he says he doesn't need the cane anymore. Feels like he can stand up. But I see someone very deliberately putting a cane on a table or desktop in front of her, and he's smiling about it. And and he stands up and he's tall again. Feels like he may have had a tendency or need to hunch over and be not as tall as he would, but he puts the cane down and says, I'm tall now. I'm taller. I can walk. I'm happier. So I hope that makes a difference to Heidi. If it doesn't, please ask her to Heidi, please think about it. Because I feel like this
Okay.
guy does very deliberately puts this brown cane in front of us with the curled handle.
Oh my God. Okay, Grace says that thanks. That guy was my sister's fiance.
Oh,
See?
wow.
Yeah.
Well, he shows up and happy guy, good looking, and um, full mustache, good cheeks. That was his, and for your sister. All right, then it makes sense for the sister.
Oh my God. And she also said that Grace said that the older woman would be my grandmother, Grace. She was OCD and expected everything spotless. Oh my God, no wonder she said you could do a little
Funny.
bit better. Oh my God, Grace.
Oh God. Well, they're
That's so
around, Grace.
funny.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Okay, I'll take that. That's pretty good.
Carmen, I don't understand your question. Can you actually phrase that in a question? Because I don't understand. There's someone who I'm not sure if it's a question or not. Having accidents. I don't know. Yeah, can you just rephrase that question so I can ask Mark, Carmen? That would be great. That's the name of my favorite opera, Carmen. I just love that. I saw it like 10 times. Okay. You don't need to know. Anyway, yeah, speaking of which, so that was very interesting, and you never know. It's funny. I don't know if Heidi can, weigh in on what you just read too, though. So that was very
The
nice.
cane.
Yeah. Now I'm just wondering if you I always do this because I mean pretty soon we'll have so many people in the audience in the live chat. I won't be able to ask you, but I do this just to kind of
Mhm.
keep I like that people get to see you read so that they can, you can first of all get validated right away and what you just got, and people can see really how talented, how good you really are at what you do. Um, and all this talking's nice and important. It's very important, but the readings are at the soul level where I think the healing really comes. And I think when you get that confirmation, when you get that message from your loved one on the other side, there's just no greater confirmation that their consciousness is around you, their love is around you, even though they're not physical any longer.
Mhm.
Um, we will all be there. So it's not like we won't. That's the one thing we can all be certain of, is that we don't ever really talk about it and prepare for end of life, but
Mhm.
we're all going to die. I mean, that's really the reality of it.
Mhm.
Now in terms of the Bible, it says that we'll be maybe some of us will be raptured in our physical form, ascended like Jesus
Mhm.
was. But boy, we've got a long way to go if we're going to be like ascending like well, I don't know, like that's just a different statement, but I mean, just a different conversation. But
I did get something for you. Can I go there for a minute?
yeah, if it doesn't say
I
anything, I personally identifying, that's all.
Okay, no, I see you as like taking on a role in terms of work. I heard adjunct professor. I want to ask you to look at how you're so good at what you do. It feels like that while there may be some issues that would prevent you from doing other levels of teaching. I feel like that your ability to create coursework and then do aim for roles multiple places, not just one place. I feel like you can be an adjunct professor and actually build up a bit of a following. You're very funny. You're supposed to get up and lecture, and then your ability to edit becomes really important. I don't know if you feel like you're in a comfortable place, but the idea that you could suggest a course and then make that something that I would do. So I would look for you to do that. It feels like um, it would be profitable. The other thing I'm hearing for you is I feel like that your ability to well, clearly you know how to interview and talk and get people to be calm and to listen to you. My sense is that looking for companies that need like be it a survey or if someone who can do market research, it feels like your ability to speak to consumers, talk to them, ask clear questions, record the information. It feels like a very useful place for you to leverage the experience you have. Because I feel like that your ability to get people to laugh, relax, and then share becomes extremely important, and that you do it so naturally. So I
Mhm.
would look to see, okay, what are they looking for? I may not have access to work in this field exactly, but certainly my ability is going to come forward. I can point to things that would allow me to do this. Certainly, some of my past experience cannot be denied. And so I would look at how you um, delve into things and also to being able to edit questions. So look to see how that's something you could crack open,
Mhm.
walk into, because I know you're very good at like talking to people and helping. You're a natural teacher. So, but this would be like a
Got it.
level up where you're
Yep,
not
thank
just
you.
teaching, you're getting someone to think. And that's what you do on this show. You get people to think. So there would be applications where,
Must be, sorry, that must be why I'm censored so much because they don't want
yeah,
people to
you
think.
keep shooting your mouth
Right,
off, and people are
right.
going, we don't want that. No, no,
No thinking.
no thinking allowed. Knock it off, Missy. No,
Yeah,
I love playing and kidding with you, but
yeah,
I mean the idea that under in a certain environments you could do it really well. So
right.
look at how that would fit. Also too, it's like um, I feel like too that one of your kids is gonna need help with a car, which is not gonna be great news. Like someone has a repair, there's something to get fixed. Say, okay, how do we fix this? All right, we can figure this out. But just, it feels like someone is like trying to get a car to go and it's um, chugging. Make sure that you get it squared away before the
Mhm.
year goes too far. Okay?
Thank you. No,
Yeah.
you've been on top of everything. I mean, last week you told me about be careful uh about my shoulder, and my shoulder's been hurting all week. I don't know
Not the power
why.
of suggestion, please. I'm not suggesting
No.
that your shoulder hurt.
No, you saw it though. That's what I'm saying is that you saw this happen because it was going to happen. So you saw it happen before it happened. It's extrasensory perception. If your friends have a problem with that, Barbara, tell them it's extrasensory perception. That's all. You don't
Right.
call it, he
Well,
reads
I
their
love it.
minds. That's so
Mind
ridiculous.
reader.
Well, what if it's not on your mind? It's like
Yeah,
this has
Yeah,
happened where I'll tell someone, okay, this is occurring or this will occur. You
yeah.
should be prepared for this to happen. And so, it's if someone hasn't thought about it, they're not seeing it. I have a friend that I'm talking to him about if you have a chance, he's in the dating world, which is always fun. Um, and that I saw him with a nurse and that she would live really close. And it turns out this nurse did show up, and she was not only close to where he lives, but where he goes to get away from the world too.
Mhm.
So there was a double connection there, it seemed. So,
Okay.
and he didn't know, you
Mhm.
know. It's like, oh, one last kind of goofy
Yeah.
funny. It's funny because it didn't happen to you or me. I told this client, you really have to look out for your when you go out on your back porch. There's ice buildup that when you see ice, get on it right away, throw salt down, protect yourself because I see you really kind of damaging your ankles. You're going to flop unexpectedly. It's going to be a bright sunny day. You're not going to expect this. You're going to fall. You're going to injure your ankle. I hadn't heard from her in close to a year. And then she called back and basically said, damn it, you told me about this. And to the day, a year later, I
Mm.
slipped on my porch and I fractured my ankle.
Oh
Oh,
my goodness. Yeah,
So that's not mind reading. That's just, you know what it is too? It's not me being some big fat genius. It's spirit saying, you know what? We would like you to pay attention to how
spirit.
you feel. And,
Hmm.
when I'm grateful for this ability to talk, but it's not about like, why isn't Mark so special and fun? No, it's about please listen to when you get information because it could be helpful. I try to give
Right,
Barbara information. I mean, by the way, it's harder if you love someone, you're around them all the time. It's in a way, it's kind of easier if I don't see them as frequently because I will be more I'm
right.
more objective. But I mean, if Barbara has something that's coming up, I'll say, look out for this. I feel like you should be
or
concerned.
just randomly, like, I didn't even ask him for it, and he'll just look at me and he goes, yeah, just yeah, be careful on the road because I see, maybe you get a flat tire or, so, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah,
not.
and I try to be careful. I don't want to create instant
So then
paranoia and
I
fear.
go have my tires checked because one of them is like going flat. It had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
leak in it. So it's like he's so good. I hate it when he's right because it's like you're right again, but
Well,
he'll just like randomly
yeah.
I won't ask him anything and he'll go, yeah, just check that out.
Yeah, he'll
So
tell you about that's nice though. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had someone like that to live with?
yeah.
I think it would be. We have a viewer in our live chat. This is Carmen. Now he's rephrased this question so I could make sure I understand what he's looking for. He's asking, why am I having auto accidents that are not my fault?
Um,
Carmen Torres is his name.
Carmen.
Torres,
Um,
yeah.
um,
You have to help Carmen.
Okay, when I'm looking at Carmen, I don't think that you're just a bad driver. I don't think it's that. It's goes beyond your ability to drive. To me, it makes me think like, where are you in when these things happen? Please look at like, are you on the same path? Does it happen everywhere? I think that the message is these are warnings. At the very minimum, these feel like warnings. Carmen, you can be okay. You will be okay. But I'm being asked to tell you that um, choose your, I feel like I'm being told, check the way you go home. Is this the way you normally go home? If you keep running into the same, if you've had issues in the same area, think about the path, but I think it is in part Spirit is asking me to ask you to turn off the radio, be a little more attentive, take what you're doing, you're driving a little more seriously. I feel like that you're a very competent driver, but you're a good driver. You're fine, but it's almost like you're allowing yourself to be too distracted. So I feel like Spirit is trying to um, steer you in a safer, get used to being more conscious because it feels like that small accidents, annoying accidents, um, they can lead to something worse. And so these are actually moments where you're being protected, even if it doesn't feel like it, with the idea that increase your awareness when you're behind the wheel.
Whoa. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So that like you wouldn't think that maybe he's taking a different route, which could potentially have more conflict or more
Hmm.
problematic I guess traffic or something like that that
Hmm.
could potentially put him in that situation, take a different route. That's a good point. Carmen, I'm just wondering if you have any comments to that, because Mark mentioned a few very specific points about the traffic, the route that you take, and also maybe not have I hope you're not texting and driving.
No, it
Um,
feels like you're supposed to, it's almost like recommit to being involved with your driving. And I
okay.
feel like that spirit's trying to protect you.
Okay, that's good to know though. So yeah, I mean, not be so distracted, and we can all be this way. This is not, an attack on you, Carmen, or anything like that.
No,
We've
no.
all done it. I mean, even if you're
I
taking
text
a
and
drink
drive
of
on
your
occasion.
coffee, but we all try to mitigate, so in other words, if I'm going to take a drink of water, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to try to do it at a stoplight, or if I'm going to change the radio station, I'll try to do it on a stoplight. I don't really like to take my eyes off the road.
I
But if you're sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, there's, I don't really have much choice, right? But that kind of thing like that. It's like if you have to stop and look down at something or do it, try to do it, when you're at a stoplight. It's the
And
kind of
also
thing.
one last thing, don't see it as a punishment. See it as a protection. You're being protected. You're being reminded to be attentive because if you're not, another more significant accident could occur. You're not running around
True.
spreading bad juju. This
Yeah.
is about
Boy.
people in spirit that want to help you,
Yeah.
that you're loved. All right? You're loved enough to be warned.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really something. You're loved enough to be warned. I mean, that's really something. Let me just check in and see how we're doing here. So happy to see so many questions and comments in our comment section. Okay, so yeah, that's a yeah, scary thing. I can remember having I also told my story about the almost accident on the Pulaski Skyway, which is a very dangerous roadway to drive
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
And yeah, I will never drive on that again. Anyway, but I used to commute into New York City a lot, so I used to take that highway, and it was just dangerous. Anyway, and thank you for your comments. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know if you were done, if there was anything more that you were going to tell me. But I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to get to Carmen's question.
You're very kind, and I still like you very much.
Look at my messy desk. You see how nice and
Yeah,
clean.
at least you
Hey,
got the pizza
hold
box
on a
out of the way,
second.
right? You got the pizza
Yeah.
box.
Where's
Easy.
Grace? Grace, don't feel bad. You could see my desk is really a mess over here. Your grandmother would probably really
Grandma
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
like the
flip
box.
out.
She's
She would
like, "What are you
probably freak
doing?"
out looking at my desk and just seeing how messy it is. But
She's going,
you
"Yeah,
know,
don't be like Louisa."
I know. The minute, and you know what happens? The minute I clean up, I can't find anything. This is the
Right,
crazy part
right.
about it.
Yeah.
That ever happen to you, Barb?
They say that genius minds have messy rooms, and Einstein was one of them, but he knew where everything was. It's like it was a mess, but he knew exactly where to go to get stuff. So,
What do you think the chances are he was a Freemason? No, I'm just let's keep going. Let's forget that conversation.
That'll
So
that'll take 45 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, so a lot of things going on in the world. Yeah, it will take a long time. And I'm just wondering if there's anyone else before we have the 5 minutes left. Is there anyone else who's watching who would have like to ask Mark a question? Please type your question in the chat because we have 5 minutes left to go with our report tonight. And I also want to make sure if you are interested in having a reading with Mark that you know where to go. So this is his website here. I'm going to screen share that so you can see. And no relation to those people. Just
Who is
kidding.
that cute blonde lady below? I don't know who that is.
Who is that? That was not one of my best days. Oh God, looks so puffy and I had
I'll
to.
get
Here it is.
my
So this
web
is your
guy to fix.
website here. This is marknelsonmedium.com. And this is a beautiful website. I like this. I like how you
Thank you very
designed
much.
this.
Shout out
And
to my buddy Emil who did this for
uh-huh. That's very nice. And so if you want to take a look at readings, you can click on readings right here. If you want to special offers, there's testimonials. So no, it's there, but
I
let's
do
see.
have like one thing I want to ask people to be aware of before the end of the year if we have nobody else. I feel like that travel should be done earlier versus later. I feel like
Okay.
that there's going to be disruptions as the year goes on. Again, if you're aware of the CrowdStrike disaster on the servers in the Ukraine, I think we will see that again. I think it will be multiple times worse. So the idea that can you live without the internet for a week? Can you get by without do you have enough cash in the house to buy groceries? Do you know how to stay warm if the weather turns? Because I'm hearing November will be problematic. Can you get, oh, here's another big thing. So many of us don't know how to get somewhere because we just turn on our maps on our phones. I would encourage everybody, if you need to get somewhere and you're not entirely sure,
Get an atlas.
get an atlas of your local area because that's going down for a little while.
Okay,
Please have access to that.
thank you. I got that turned off. I have a couple of messages. I have a couple questions before we before we leave. So how about we start with Todd, who says he's in need of an indication of his next work transition. It's Todd, this is Todd, and he's not happy with his current work. And is there some indication of an opportunity, better opportunity that may come his way?
Um, it's not going to come your way. You have to chase it down. The other thing too is I get this impression that Todd's in a workspace that may be kind of closing in on him. I would say that if you oh no, you survive a layoff, but it's not going to be enough to get through this one. There will be more than one. I really get this visual of you being on a shrinking iceberg. So get active now while the weather is warm. Please do something now. All right. I also feel like too that call a friend. It feels like that you've got friends somewhere that you would like to work. Do that now. Don't wait because the iceberg is shrinking. All right. Also too, feels like that your ability to smile, to be helpful to people is worth something. Don't underestimate your ability uh to solve problems, but don't wait. Being proactive is the answer.
Okay, all right, excellent. We have also we have Cheryl wants to know, do you feel all the alphabet agencies will go down?
I don't trust any of them. I feel like that there will be purges. I feel like that we're going to be going through a period again a little later in the year. I do feel like that there will be a change. There's going to be um, significant changes in our government in the early part of next year. I feel like that in some ways they will be cut down or beheaded, some of these places. There are many good people within the agencies, these alphabet agencies, but there's several political players that have been paid off by foreign entities that are going to need to be removed forcibly. So expect there to be a certain level of chaos. Again, please, everyone, expect not to hear the truth in the news or the new competing news reports. Be safe with the people you love. Talk to them. Be safe. Get food. Some of this stuff is just going to happen above our pay grade,
Mm.
and we have to just be prepared for uncertainty. All right.
Okay, we also have Maggie. She wants to know if there's any message from Spirit. This is for Maggie.
Right. Um, Maggie, I'm feeling like that you had a recent heartbreak. I get this tearing apart. Something comes here. So I'm supposed to say it's like it, it feels like that it's hard to just be yourself. I feel like that there was this tearing. Something came apart. Something doesn't seem fair. It's like, no, 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 no. That isn't right. That shouldn't have happened to me. That isn't fair. So I'm supposed to say it's like if you've gone through a recent heartbreak, um, try to get that other person out of your life quickly because they're not being good to you. All right. So if she's got recent breakup, be it hurts, but it's better than waiting for this person to come back. It's not. And if you haven't had a breakup, I want you to just be careful because I feel like that this heartbreak, it really comes and it feels like an emotional, it feels romantic. And I would say, be a little protective of who you are.
Okay, and the last question is from Jane, and she'd like to know what is her mission, or if there's a mission, what is her mission is her question, actually. If you can
Okay.
pick up on something like that, or purpose or mission or something.
Okay.
That's for Jane. Mhm.
Okay. Jean or Jane?
Jane,
Okay.
Jane, uh-huh.
All right. Um, you know what? I get this visual, Jane, where you're taking out an axe and you're cutting through a lot of things that are obscuring the truth from you. I feel like that you're being called to not let other people lie to you. So there's a lot of truth finding here. I heard truth, get to the real truth. Also, too, you're going to be forced to make decisions that make you uncomfortable. Everything about hacking something in half is going to make you uncomfortable. Be prepared that, all right, I'm going to take an axe to this question, and that I feel like that your purpose isn't just to swing an axe, is to cut through um, the pain that you've been through previously, the suffering that you've been through, and to uh, see what is the new truth for you. You came here to learn, and so that means deleting things that are bad for you, and that's where the axe comes in. Be forceful. In fact, take an axe to anything that isn't being good to you or is old, and cut away the stuff that is an old habit is no longer helping. Cut it, take an axe to anything that is obscuring what you need to see. Ooh, don't, and if that's a
Thank you,
person, don't
Mark.
hit anyone with an axe,
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, I was kind of like, well, where is this going? You
Don't hit
talking, I
anyone with
see
an
you with an
axe.
axe. I'm like, what? Where's this going?
No, no, don't tell the police the psychic told you to do it. I'm not, no psychics are recommending an axe on a person. It's a metaphor. It's a
Yeah,
metaphor.
metaphor,
Look it up.
metaphor, metaphor, metaphor. Very good. No, that's important to know. Barb, is everything okay? Because you looked like something was there, like something was catching your attention.
I
Were you hearing something?
I feel like Mark's dad is around.
Yeah.
I'm looking at his pictures and I just feel his dad is around. So I don't know if he's got a message from him, but I feel he's around. And he just talked to his brother.
Yeah.
So
My dad died when he was 33. I was a kid.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
Dad, I feel like Dad is standing up behind me and saying, don't just talk about things, do it. Make it be in motion. Don't
mhm.
just talk, do. Do. That's one thing my dad was a man of who would take action to fix, to create, to build. He was all about doing things. So I would say let's leave in the message tonight that if you feel like there's something that's giving you pause or concern, act on that feeling,
Mm.
act on the knowledge, and you will benefit. To know something and to not act on it is to not know it. Act on what you know and feel.
Mm.
Trust it. It's a wonderful thing when you see it's like ultimately you'll say it wasn't crazy. It was true. It worked out.
Right, right. That was so nice to get a message from your father, though. That was really thank you. Please say thank you to him if he,
Thanks.
I know if he
Thanks.
can hear me. He probably could hear me anyway.
He can hear
He
you.
can.
He
Yeah, he
can.
can hear you. Thank you. Oh, that's nice. It was lovely seeing the both of you again tonight. Again, a very lovely. It's really the time went by so quickly, and I do appreciate
Oh, yeah.
the questions that you took from our live chat tonight. And I think that everybody, and that's what's so beautiful, so you can give them validation and soothe their heart, and also help guide them so that they can make good choices, and prevent unexpected or unanticipated events that they wouldn't want to have happen. So it's good to have that kind of information. Everybody's saying thank you. Yeah, there is. Todd said you're spot on. Thank you. So,
Wonderful.
and yeah, and you are. And Heidi said the same. Okay, thank you, and have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody. Oh, all the hearts are coming up on the live chat. So I'm just going to show it to you so you can see that. Let me see if that's the one. Yeah. So there they go. Can you guys give us all hearts? Yeah, there you go. How about
Hey,
some hearts
thank you,
for
Oh,
everyone.
yeah.
Mark and for Barbara? I was gonna
God
say
bless you all.
I was gonna
Beverly.
say Beverly. I
Beverly.
know. I mean, and she's there. Well, I'm surprised. Is she there? Is Beverly there? Mark, were you able to
Um,
validate that?
Oh,
Beverly
she's
wanders
always,
around.
yeah, she's always
I love her
around.
presence. She's like this reassuring,
She's very
calm lady.
sweet.
and
Yeah.
we love having her around.
Oh, that's
Calm.
so funny. Good. That's nice. That's nice to hear. So thank you. It was wonderful to see you all again. And I'm sorry that you're seeing more of my messy room. I'm not sure why it has such a wide angle view this time, but I'm going to see if I can fix that. It was nice to be able to hide all of it in the past. But actually, this is all going to be changing soon anyway. So I'm going to be changing all of that. But anyway, this was an important message for everybody tonight, that hopefully that when you, no matter what happens, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's an election year. Come on, folks. Let's face it. There's going to be some
Yeah.
major luck. What is it going to be? Pandemic 2.0? What is it going to be? Bay of Pigs 2.0? What is it going to be? Great Depression 2.0? Is it fake alien invasion with the combination of
Right.
old reverse
Ugh,
engineered equipment,
yeah.
or is it all the above? I wouldn't put it past them to do all the above. So be prepared. Things are going to be a little bit bumpy. Buckle in, absolutely buckle in, but definitely do and listen to that guidance that Mark and Barbara are trying to explain, that you really have to learn to listen to it now before things get crazy, because it'll be crazy. Uh, Hopefully you'll hear it then. If you don't hear it now, let's just hope you hear it then. But it would
Yeah.
be good to foster that kind of relationship with your spirit guides now. And so,
Amen.
to trust it when the time comes, and it will definitely make a difference when the time matters. So I hope you have a great weekend. You guys have any plans, anything fun you're gonna do, or you want to keep it
Gonna go
private? That's
up to
okay.
gonna go hang out with the
The
grandkiddies
grandkids.
up by this beautiful stream that's got like waterfalls and swimming pools, and it's a lovely thing. So we're looking forward to that. That and I've got a full day of readings tomorrow. So I'm
Oh,
very
good.
grateful for that.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah,
Yeah, so that sounds beautiful. We'll have a great weekend.
we
And
will.
to all of our viewers, have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week with some more food for the soul. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Barbara and to